Welcome everyone to our webinar today. Very excited about this one. I think our Women's Laundry Network Task Force, as we're coming up with topics, the topic of taking care of machines and troubleshooting comes up at every Facebook group you're on. It seems a constant discussion. So excited today that we have two experts in that area who are going to share with us the machine theory of operation and knowing your machine. So if you wouldn't mind in the chat, just so we have an idea who is on the call, if you can add your name, your company name, and where you are calling or watching from, that would be great. So we do have a sponsor of today's webinar. So we want to thank Alliance Laundry Systems. Unfortunately, Amanda Goebel, who is on our task force from Alliance, cannot be here. So she gave me a little information I'm going to share with you. Most of you are probably familiar with Alliance and their brands, Speed Queen and Hipsch. So they manufacture Speed Queen and Hipsch. They are committed to innovation and driving the industry forward from lint capture technology, pro capture, to the industry first scan, pay, wash technology, which if you were at the Clean Show, that was what they were showcasing at their booth. So if at any point you need more information on Alliance, you can go to their website or type in the chat and I can get you connected with Amanda. All right, so our presenters for today, we have Raina Bass, who is with EVI Industries, and we have Melissa Roberts with Laundry Lux Distribution. So I'm going to stop my share, and Raina, you are welcome to take the floor.
Okay, I will do my best to get this shared, hoping that this does it correctly.
Looks good.
You can see it?
Yep.
Fantastic. Okay, so welcome to the machine theory of operation. This is just a basic high level of getting to know your machines and what different verbiage means, so that when you have somebody that comes in to do either service or you're looking at a spec sheet and you have no idea what you're looking at, this is going to kind of give you that high level, really high level. We try not to get too deep into the weeds with this. So with that, let's get started. Okay, so I'm Raina Bass. I'm Director of National Accounts with EVI. I am a recently elected CLA board member. I'm really excited to get started with the CLA board this next year, the next couple years. And I am a member of the Women's Laundry Network Task Force. We've had a great time this past year creating programming for everyone here, whether you're a store owner or a service provider or a manufacturer. We all just kind of put our heads together and see how we can best raise us into this industry and make our industry better. I'm a second generation laundry enthusiast. I know Brian Grell's we're laundry hacks, but I don't like saying laundry hack. I'm more of an enthusiast. So I'm going to say enthusiast. I grew up in this industry from my parents. They were distributors and coin store owners. So they kind of taught me how to do all of that. And that's what I did. And I've been with EVI a little under a year, but so far this is the closest to running my own distribution that I've had. And it's so much fun and I'm having a blast with it. And now, Melissa, back to you.
Thank you. I'm Melissa Roberts. I am the area sales manager for the Rockies region for Laundry Lux. Laundry Lux has a women's initiative that I am a part of as well, and am always very happy to be part of the CLA and the Women's Laundry Network. I have been in the industry for about 27 years now. I started off as a distributor in Atlanta, learned every job imaginable at that distributor. from service and installation, parts and marketing, learned advertising. I've retooled and built countless laundromats from the ground up, and I truly do love working with owners and investors to make their stores the most efficient and most profitable and most loved in their communities. I am truly passionate about the technology that's coming out to make owners' lives easier and smart operations that can take laundromats to the next level.
Fun little fact for everyone here. Melissa and I were both in the Atlanta area as competitors, and we're here together again as competitors. But she and I have had such a blast working together on this project, and I'm really happy to be able to share what we've come up
Me
with
too.
you.
I second that, Raina.
I just think it's so funny. It was just like,
Good.
because I had mine and you had yours, and it was just we're in this one little area and we're just basically fighting for like everything.
Right.
All right, so the agenda today is how washers work.
Okay, what can we hear you?
Single reverse. We're going to be able to hang before you go.
Yeah, everyone. They're asking if
Where did
this is
my
John.
I'm
do we have
sorry,
a
I don't want to
timer? Yes,
interrupt,
it's
but
timer.
if you're on this, we can hear some background noise. Can everyone make sure to please mute themselves? We can hear some other talking. Thank you.
Thank you. Know before you go. So washers and dryers, they operate in a linear sequence. So it's not going to be able to
Okay,
finish.
so I was gonna grab something.
I think that's off of Mary Espinosa's and Maggie Witham's uh, Zooms.
Sorry, guys.
Mute yours, that'd be great. Thank you.
Getting something.
So that means each step has to be completed before it can move on to the next thing. So one of the things that is good and helpful to know is that if something is not working, then it's just to go back. Did it finish properly? The last sequence, was that properly finished? And then you just kind of work backwards from there. And again, this is
Oh, you're muted yourself now.
okay. This is a brand agnostic presentation. We are not saying that one brand is better than the other. We're not giving you any kind of brand specific things either. This is going to be high level, just kind of general information, the theory of operations, like once you put that payment system in and what that cycle should and should not do. Okay, and now we're going to go to how washers work. And
Yep.
Melissa's going to take this one.
Thank you. So let's jump into it. How washers work. We know they wash clothes, but there are several steps that have to be completed to make the final product happen. So, of course, starting the machine, your payment is entered. There are some machines out there on the market that you have to have the door closed and the handle turned before it will let you enter the money. But needlessly, we enter the payment. We close the door, we turn the door handle. Once that happens, the next operation is going to be the drain valve closing. There are a couple of different styles of drain valves out there. You may have seen some of these, you may have never looked. But either way, they serve the same purpose. So if you close your door, the drain valve is supposed to close, but there is water draining immediately, then there's something stuck and holding your drain valve open, allowing that water to leave that drum before it's had time to wash. So then your water valve turns on. During your fill phase, the water enters until the programmed water level is reached, whether that's low, medium, or high, or anything in between. If there is no water, of course, check your water supply. make sure that your valves are working, that there are no clogged screens. Again, if you hear water running, but it's not filling the drum, then there's something stuck in your drain valve holding it open. The detergent in the soap box will flush next. The water flushes through the compartments to carry the detergent, bleach, or softener into the drum. If you don't have any soap entering your drum, check that that soap box is flushing. There are valves that will lead to that. One of those could be clogged, its string could be clogged, or the valve itself could be bad. So then once water is detected by the machine, the drum turns and the cycle begins. The drum rotates forward and backwards. The linens lift, drop, and tumble in the water and detergent solution. If you don't have any drum turning at this point of the cycle, check the motor or drive belt or coupling if your machine has it. Once all the segments of the cycle are complete, the drain valve opens, the water drains, and a sensor senses that the drum is empty. If it didn't spin at the fine after it's drained all the water, check your imbalance switch, your motor, or your VFD if your machine has one. So now the cycle is complete. The door unlocks. Some machines have a manual door release typically located behind the front panel if there is an actual issue and you have to get into that machine. But if the door didn't unlock on its own, make sure you check that door lock, or maybe the control board signal is not being sent. So once the door is unlocked, you can turn the handle and empty that machine out. And now we're
Okay.
going to let Raina talk about
This-
some dryers.
Yay. Okay, so this is the dryers. Don't get into your dryers. That's just fun. So just like the washer, you're going to put payment is going to go in, you're going to do your payment, the door closes, and then the door switch is checked. Door switches, you have two different types of switches. You have the dryer door, and then you also have the lint drawer. So most dryers have both of those, and they both have to be operational in order for the dryer to run. If the dryer doesn't start, you might want to check the door, the start button contactor, which is behind that touch panel. Sometimes it can get worn and doesn't make contact with the start. Once it does start, the airflow is checked. It's going to make sure that you have enough makeup air and that there's going to be airflow that's going to be able to go into the drum. The blower motor starts. You have two different types of blower types, and then you have two different types of airflow switches. These can also be, some have the sail switch, which is a metal plate that looks like a sail, and it's just basically switching it on and off so that it can bring in the airflow or not bring in the airflow. Once that is detected and that's starting to blow, then the drum starts to turn. And it happens almost simultaneously. So if it doesn't happen, and your machine has the door switch that you can push with your finger, you want to be able to do that, open your door, push it in with one hand, and then manually rotate the drum with the other. And if you are able to do that, then you might have a faulty start capacitor for the motor. Again, it's just a quick troubleshooting thing that you can try, and that's something that can be done.
Yep,
So-
real quick, Raina. So if you spin that drum with your hand and the motor picks up and starts turning it on its own, that's a bad start capacitor. If it doesn't start turning on its own, it could be a bad motor.
Rena might be frozen.
I think she is.
I think my internet it says I just got a signal saying it was unstable. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yes, now
Okay.
we can.
Yeah,
Thank you, Melissa.
of course.
All right, so are you still on the screen where it says airflow works?
Yeah.
Okay. So airflow works. The system it's confirmed that it works. The gas valve and the igniter are allowed to be properly powered up and produce a flame. I have a blue flame here. That is because that's what the flame should be. It should not be orange. When people think of a fire, they think that it's supposed to be orange in color, but that is not your dryer flame. That means it's trying to grab, you don't have enough makeup air and it's trying to get that. So it should not be orange, just so you know. If you don't have any heat, so if your machine's working just fine, but it's not producing any heat and people are, oh, it's not hot, it's not hot. You want to check the airflow, you want to check the lint filters, the igniter box, there's thermostat or your heat source. They're one of those was really for your dryer to not be heated up.
Raina, maybe try turning off your camera.
And the process heat over and over the I 20 feet over if you okay.
That might help with internet.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to repeat over and over again until the process is the timed out with a 25-minute set. Or if you have moisture detection in your system, it'll once it reaches that moisture is gone, then it'll automatically stop. So the first step is that the thermostat sends power to the igniter and to the gas valve. And then the heat is going to raise until it reaches the set temperature. So whether your temperature is set to low or medium or high, once that heat reaches that set temperature, the thermostat will tell the gas valve to cut the power. The thermostat, then the dryer will then cool down to the low temperature. And once it does that, it then sends another signal to the thermostat to say, okay, now start again. And that's going to be repeated over and over again until it's done. So does anyone have any questions so far about the washers or dryers at this high level?
You're welcome to post any questions in the chat if you have any. And you can kind of do it throughout. We'll make sure we get to those questions.
Okay, so we are going to move to single and three-phase power, and Melissa's going to take us through that.
All right, thank you, Raina. Let's dive in. So single phase power, you'll see up here in the upper right corner, there's some different ways to write it, notations. So if you see that, this is what those symbols or phrases mean. So single phase power, you can think of it like one stream of electricity and it comes into the building. The voltage rises and falls in a wave pattern, just like you see here. It's common in your house, small businesses, it's to run your lamps, your hair dryers, your outlets, small appliances, refrigerator, TVs, things like that. It can come in 120 volt, but also 240 volt. So its partner, and I'm sure we've heard the phrase before, three-phase power. Three-phase power, the notations are up in the right corner so you can see what that looks like. And like we talked about with single-phase power, it's one stream of electricity coming into the building. So let's say you have one person that's pushing the merry-go-round, and it speeds up when they push, but it slows down between pushes. So it's a bit jerky. With three-phase power, you space those three people evenly around the circle. Everyone takes a turn pushing. There's always someone pushing, so you get nice, steady, smooth power. That's three-phase power. Large industrial dryers typically require three-phase power to operate efficiently. However, with the use of inverters or VFDs, which we'll talk about here a little bit more, most laundromat equipment can now run on single-phase power, reducing the need for costly three-phase electrical installations. So if the building that you're looking at already has three-phase power, perfect. If it doesn't have three-phase power, it is very expensive to get that power to the building. And with most new equipment nowadays, it's not necessary. So you can run with single phase power and still be able to have nice, efficient equipment. So some of your larger industrial buildings, factories, some laundromats, especially if they were built years ago, big motors are all going to use three-phase power. Again, it's a more constant power delivery with very few dips in between. It's efficient for both lights and big equipment. It usually comes in 208, 240, and 480 volt configurations. These are just some pictures of what breakers look like in their different configurations. So if you're looking at a space and you look in the panel and you notice that the panel is filled with the single phase 120 volt breakers, uh, more than likely, then you've got single phase power coming in. If on the other side of that, you look in your panel and you notice that there are three-phase uh, breakers taking up three spaces in your panel, then you have to have three-phase power. You can run, and I'll mention this later, single phase off of three-phase, but not three-phase off of single phase. And then the little guy in the middle, he is a single phase 240 volt breaker. So, like at your house, if you have an electric dryer, he's running on one of these bigger breakers. So, spec sheets. Raina mentioned in the beginning that sometimes looking at spec sheets, there's all these numbers and it's very confusing. If you know what you're looking at, you'll make sure that you get the right thing. And just a side note, North America, we use 60 hertz power. So if you see that 60 HZ, then that is the correct machine for you. If you see a 50 HZ, that is for a different continent's power. And we want to steer away from those, of course. But if you'll notice in the spec sheets, it lists the voltage range. It lists the hertz that are available, and if it's single or three phase, or in some cases if it can do both. Another thing that you might notice that when you run higher voltage, your amperage is less. So if you can run everything on 240 volt, you're going to be pulling less amperage through your laundromat and needing less amperage to run your laundromat. Okay, so VFDs, inverters, we hear them called different things. We're going to dive a little bit into those and kind of explain how those work. So a variable frequency drive, or VFD, manages the speed of an electric motor by adjusting the frequency, or the hertz, and the voltage of the power supplied to it. It provides precise speed regulation, improved energy efficiency, and better process control of your machines. So how a VFD works, step-by-step process. A variable frequency drive converts incoming AC power to DC power, smooths it, and then transforms it back into AC with adjustable frequency and voltage. This is the process that allows the precise control over the motor speed. So to break it down, your AC is changed to DC. So incoming single or three-phase AC power is converted to DC. Then capacitors stabilize and clean that DC power. And then that DC power is converted back into AC, allowing for adjustable frequency and voltage as needed. So the lower the frequency, the slower the motor spins. The higher the frequency, the faster that motor is going to go. So you can think of it like a car. Your motor is the engine. The VFD is your gas pedal and transmission all in one. Instead of running full blast all the time, the VFD allows you to speed up, slow down, or maintain a steady motor speed as needed. Some of the benefits of VFDs are saving energy by ensuring that the motor only works as hard as needed to perform its function. It provides a smooth start and stop, which reduces wear and tear on your motors. Again, allows precise control of both torque and speed and enables operation of three-phase motors on single-phase power, which of course is perfect for laundromats. So in the laundromat, the VFD will let the washer ramp up slowly to speed instead of jerking to full power and adjust for wash versus extract cycles, which run at different RPMs, of course. So that was a lot, and that was a lot of mouthful. Are there any questions?
There is something to note on a laundromat where if you've got like empty space and someone, they're like, oh, you can add in more washers here. We could just do a whole new row of washers. What you want to think of is not do you really want to do it, but what does your box say? Your box may tell you if you have room to put that. So just because you have physical space doesn't mean you have the electric space in your for a whole row of new equipment. So that's another thing to think about when you're wanting to either retool or expand your existing footprint in your laundromat.
Good point. You are limited on the amperage in your box.
I mean, you can always expand it, but it's
Of course.
costly. So it's not like it can't be done. It's just that's one more thing to think about. Okay, so I'm going to go over some items to consider. So Melissa, you just did an awesome job just throwing out all of that information about single phase, three phase, VFDs, all that. Why is it important to know the difference between single phase and three phase power? When you're looking at a space, and the equipment that you have, you want to make sure that the equipment that you're wanting to get can go into the available space. And then vice versa. If you've got an existing space, you need to make sure, can you fit the equipment in your existing panel? Like she said, you can run single phase equipment on three phase power, but you cannot run three phase power on single phase equipment or three phase equipment on single phase power. Washer maintenance. So these are things that should be done daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually. And you'll get a copy of this, so you'll be able to, if you want to print it out, you're welcome to. This is also in your user manual. So you should have, when you look at your operation the operator's manual, it will give you a preferred schedule of maintenance that you need to do on your equipment for your specific brand. But basic things, making sure the soap dish is cleaned out on a regular basis, wiping down the door glass, the rubber gasket. All of that's going to reduce the grime. You want to verify that your drains are flowing freely, that you're not having standing water, and inspect the hoses or connections for leaks. That needs to be done every single day. You cannot have a leak that's happening, and then next thing you know, your water bill is going to be through the roof. Weekly, you want to use a cleaner on the door seals and the gaskets. You don't want to have it moldy. That's the smell. Once you open up that washer drum, you're going to smell it, and your customers will smell it, and then they're going to think, well, if this is not clean, how are they going to clean my clothes? Checking for unusual noises and vibrations during the spin. This is really critical, just like your brakes. So like when you are driving around, all of a sudden you hear a little squeak on your brakes. That is a signal that is ahead of time to say, hey, you need to change your brakes before you need to have all new rotors, right? So it's kind of the same thing. You're listening for your bearings, you're listening for unusual noises and those vibrations to make sure just everything's running smoothly. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of high dollar maintenance items that are going to be needed to do on your equipment.
Left unchecked, they will cost you a lot of money in the long run.
Is quarterly and annually. Things should have service plans in place where you can hire them to come in once a quarter and once a year to do just those basic checkups. It's just like taking your car in for an oil change. but it's just getting them to just do a deep dive, and they can do a whole lot more work to make sure that your equipment is running in tip-top shape. Dryer maintenance, same concept. You want to empty and clean the lint screens, check for unusual noises, wipe down the control panels. We all see what things, what kind of items go into these pieces of equipment. I mean, you can have nuts and bolts and nails and other things that we don't want to even list on here. But you want to make sure that those aren't getting sucked into the machine and the components, because it can really damage your equipment. Vacuuming around and behind the dryers to prevent the lint will help prevent fire hazards. Inspecting your belts and rollers, making sure that when you're hearing like if you can hear the squeaky belt, you want to get those removed, and having some basic parts available on hand will also help downtime as well. So when you do have a service person that comes in and you're saying, I already have my belts, I already have my, my water valves or gasket, it's very helpful to have that. And again, the same thing with the quarterly and the annually. I would recommend having the distributor service contract is a perfect time to have them come in and look at your machine. It's not preventative maintenance, it's just routine maintenance, but it can help prevent costly damage that could possibly happen if you don't take good care of your equipment.
All very good points.
Keeping a maintenance log. You want to have a service call, a log of all of your service calls, the dates that service was done, what items were serviced, and what it looked like. You want to train your attendants to be your eyes and ears and boots on the ground. So if they're noticing that there's a small drip or a leak or vibrations or the squeaky belt, you want to have them be able to listen for it and then let you know immediately that if you're hearing something. Again, many of our distributors they do regular service schools. So no matter what brand of equipment you have, they offer service schools that you and your attendants can attend and get those in depth. Because I mean, again, you're working with the manufacturer, so you'll get some in-depth information about your equipment. Scheduling routine maintenance. It says, I mean, we do say it's suggested to do every 12 months, so doing the annual, but my suggestion is even to do it even greater and do the quarterly ones. I just see that there's a lot of things that are missed when the owner takes it on and says, well, I don't need them but for the year. Just getting another set of eyes on your equipment, and again, it's establishing that relationship. So having them come out regularly, and they're going to see you and see them, and you're just creating that rapport and that open line of communication. That's going to help you out in the long run. And then proactively replace those belts and hoses and even the bearings before they fail, so that you can prevent your downtime and those costly emergency calls.
So, as a note, it said, remember that your machines will talk to you. They will talk to you. They will tell you when something's wrong with them. When you walk in your store and you're listening and you hear a sound that sounds out of the ordinary, go investigate it. Don't wait. The biggest headache of laundry owners, especially, let's say you have multiple stores, is letting those sounds go by unchecked. And then finding, not only do you have to replace rollers, but now you have to replace a drum. You may have to replace a bearing. There's no telling what it could cost. If you hear water running, go investigate it. But listen to your machines. They will tell you when they're not feeling well.
That's right. So these are some, again, very high level tools to put in your toolbox. These are things that, I mean, these are the things that Melissa and I, when we were going, okay, what is absolutely crucial? And I look at my tool bags and I look at what do I have multiple of that I cannot go on site without. And it's a multimeter. These torque bits, so the one with that has a circle in this one is the security one. Usually when you get them in the store, they come in with like, you'll get a couple. Get 5. Like, I don't know why, but you always lose them.
Uh-huh.
So get 5. Just have 5 on hand. That's a good number. Um, it's good for when you lose them. It's good for when where is that? Because if it has the one that has the dot in the middle, the security one, there's no other way you can get into that without this one particular bit.
Mhm.
Automotive trim tools. These are all the different sizes and shapes, and they're good to have on hand. Flathead screwdriver and Phillips head screwdriver. Seems very basic, but you'd be surprised at how many people don't have this in their toolbox. A socket set in both metric and standard. Channel locks, and then an O-ring spreader. So if you have small chassis front load equipment in your like LGs or Encores, having this O-ring spreader will save hours of time.
And that's for the spring that goes around and holds the gasket in the door.
Correct.
Yep. And a note on the automotive trim tools. I know they're automotive, but this little set of tools, the two on the right will help you get your door glass gaskets back on and back in your door. You're still going to fight it. There is no easy way to do it. It's always a horrible, horrible fight, but these little tools will help you get those in there. And then they also come in handy sometimes, the ones with the little slits in the end. For popping clips, if you can't quite get it with your fingernail or something like that, one of these little tools will help you pop some of those open.
Or like when you break a nail, like I did this weekend.
Or you don't have them.
Okay, so here are some takeaways that you can, right? So just to go over high level summary of what we just talked about. Again, when you look at it like this, it looks so simple. It is. It is. It's it's not rocket science. It's just laundry equipment. But when you call for service, it's really good to know the exact error code and when that error code happened during the cycle. If you do get an error code, just make a note of it. And again, keep that in a log together so that when you have this information, it's going to save you time because you're going to be able to give that to the service person. And that's one less thing that they have to then check. So starting, the payment is entered, the door is closed, the door is locked. Water comes into the drum, the drain valve closes, the water valve turns on, the drum turns. The cycle begins, it rotates back and forth, it's moving the linens, it's dropping them, tumbling them in the solution. The drain valve opens, the drum is emptied, the door unlocks, the cycle is complete. So what to do if this happens? So if this is, and again, this is a good thing to have just printed in your office. So if it drains immediately, check the drain valve. If no water enters, check the water supply. If no soap enters, check the flush water supply. If no drum movement, check the motor or drive belt or the coupling. If no spin, check imbalance switch, the motor or the inverter. If the door won't unlock, check the safety lock or the control board signal. In dryer summary, same concept. It's not rocket science. The user presses start, the door switch confirms that the door is closed, the drum begins tumbling. The blower is pulling in the air to make sure you have enough makeup air. So it's pulling in the air is heated by a gas burner, electric element, or steam coil. So that's going to be your heat source. And then that warm air is pushed through to the tumbling linens. The drum rotation is lift and dropping the linens. It's that tumbling action. Moist air exits via the exhaust duct. If the clothes are staying damp, you want to check that airflow path. Maybe you have too much lint buildup, or there's a block at your exhaust, either from the dryer all the way out to the outside of the building. Timer or sensor monitors the drying process. So machine cycles, heats on and off to maintain the set temperature. If it's overheating, check the cycling thermostat or the airflow restriction. If the dryer will not start, check door switches. If the dryer does not fire, check the ignition box. If the dryer doesn't cycle the heat, check the thermostat. There are multiples of those. If the drum doesn't turn and you're able to do that tumbling like what Melissa had shown, um, that's a really good tool. It's a really good thing. Have an airflow error. Check the blower motor, check the airflow switch, and check for clogged vents and closed makeup air. We said a ton of stuff, and we are at the end of the presentation. So we have a little bit of time for questions and answers.
And I've been picking some of those up in the
So,
chat.
Danielle, do we have any questions that were brought up in the chat?
We did, but Melissa has been answering them in the chat, which has been great. But does anyone else have questions about what they presented or maybe something going on with one of your machines? It's a lot of good information.
Did you actually learn anything? Did you know all of this stuff? Do we need to do a more in-depth deep dive?
I think I thought this was great. I personally learned a lot. Yeah, maybe this is our part one, and maybe we do a part two next year.
I'm down.
Um, yes, this presentation is recorded, and it will be posted on our CLA YouTube channel after it gets edited up a little. We had some conversation at the beginning, but yes, this will be available. Looks like people are really enjoying it. I could getting a copy of the presentation. So besides the video, Melissa and Raina, if you guys are on board and want to send me the PowerPoint, I can
Sure.
email it out to everybody who is registered.
Yeah, I think we were gonna do a download link for the checklist. If they just wanted the checklist, they could go to that and download just that part, or the whole presentation is great.
Yeah, I'll send the presentation as a PDF to Danielle.
Okay,
Does that work?
perfect.
Good.
Yep. Sorry, Henry, I don't think we can do a part two next week. Don't think we can pull it together quite that quickly, but yes, sounds like people are on board for a part two. And Leah's asking to a little slower next time. It is a lot of information. So good that you'll get the presentation and the video so you can kind of go back through it at your own pace.
Yeah, Leah, that was something that when Melissa and I did our test run, we went way over. And so it was one of those things where it's like, okay, we're gonna take this a little slower, we're gonna do this. But again, it's like when you get the adrenaline of talking to people, I mean, even though you're not in front of people, you're still presenting information. It's just I know I do. I talk fast. Um, so I apologize.
Once we do part two and get really into the weeds, we'll make sure to go real slow. Because it
But
will
also
get a lot more technical.
get on your distributor's mailing list for, because I know like we did 2 service schools last week and we've got another one coming up in another week in another area. And then because we do about, I would say about 10 service schools a year all over the country. And these are really in-depth service schools where they do breakouts. So they have one where it's just kind of high level, and then they have another one where they're like taking the machine apart. Um, those are really good to attend. And so just get on those mailing lists.
Yep, I second that. Get with distribution in your area and make friends with local service techs. Get them to show you a thing or two if they're out there working on your equipment. Ask them questions. Most of them don't mind. Some of them will mind, but most of them won't mind sharing.
Mm-mm. No, especially if you're handing them the tools that they're asking for.
Right.
There is a question about, is there a maintenance company group to provide service, which, I mean, your distributor would be one. I don't know if you guys have any other suggestions.
I always suggest the distributor because they're the ones that are factory trained on the brand specific equipment. You can get somebody who's, mechanically inclined but you're going to save time and money. And usually not maybe not every single part, but usually they have parts on hand on their truck that they would be able to do on-site replacement right there at the service call. So, unless they don't, and then they have to order the part.
Also, I'm putting this in the chat too, but also, if by some freak chance you can't find a distributor or a technician that can come and help you, if you can find an electrician that is willing to do something a little out of the ordinary, they're very good at troubleshooting machines. They
Yeah.
know how to use that multimeter, they know how to follow the path of power, and a lot
Yeah.
of the times can get you to a solution as a
Yes.
last
And it's
resort.
following the power. That's key. And that's why you need that multimeter because you start at the beginning and then you just kind of you follow. Okay, is power here? Is power here? Is power here? And you're just going through the machine of all from start to finish.
Mhm. That's right. So my husband's actually a service tech, and he has been tasked with getting a bunch of older equipment that's been sitting out of service for a couple of years up and going. So the first thing he does, for example, with washers, as we went through, he takes his, he turns the power on. Let's see if it powers up. Let's see if the door locks. If the door doesn't lock, then he takes the meter out and he tests that door lock. Once that is proved to either be good or if it's bad, it's replaced and the machine doesn't continue through its cycle, now we move down to see if the drain valve's working. Then we move down to see if the water valves are getting the signal to have water. And it's just following that path. So that's why kind of knowing the theory of operations of how the machines work, you can do a lot of troubleshooting on your own by knowing this happens first, this happens second, this happens third, and just move down the line. All the distributors or the manufacturers will have a tech support line that you can call. A lot of them will ask you for if you have a meter, and they may ask you to test certain terminals. They'll tell you exactly what they want, and you can give them the results, and they can help walk you through finding a solution for your machine also.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Raina and Melissa. As I mentioned at the beginning, I mean, this is just a topic we've never really done before, and I think it was very informational. So we'll make sure to get all the slides and the videos out to everyone. In the last couple of minutes, I just wanted to share a few additional upcoming events that CLA is hosting. So we also, on top of our virtual events that we do each month, we do some face-to-face events. One of them is called our Connect Live, and these are just 2-hour dinner networking events that we kind of do at locations all across the country. So I listed the ones that are scheduled for the rest of 2025. So next week we'll be in Colorado. After that, Ohio, Atlanta, and then Northern California. Probably at some point in November, we will set the calendar for next year and have our full calendar of events up. And again, we go to most larger cities across the country. So if you go on this website, you can kind of get a feel for the cities that we go to. But again, just a good opportunity, kind of like the picture here. You're just sitting with other people in the industry, chance to network, make some connections, ask some questions, learn some new ideas. We also do large national events. So the one that is coming up at the end of this month, October 26th through the 28th, is in Nashville. It's our 4th time holding this event, and it is our wash, dry, fold workshop. So all of the content, the education, is all focused on wash, dry, and fold, pickup and delivery, and commercial laundry. So there's a little bit of the schedule right here. We start on Sunday night with a welcome reception, and then we have 2 full days of education. We do have many of our companies exhibiting there, so you can learn about the different products and services. And then, of course, we try to offer plenty of time for networking as well. So with that event, the registration, more information, the full agenda, speakers, everything is all at this link at the bottom. But highly encourage you to take a look at it and attend if it kind of works with your schedule. Honestly, it's probably my favorite event that we do. It's really a great event. All right. Well, that brings us to the end. So again, thanks to all of you. This was a great webinar with lots of good questions. Thank you, Raina and Melissa. You guys really know your stuff. I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
And yeah, I think we should look at a part 2 to add on next year's calendar for our Women's Laundry Network. So,
Done.
all right.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Thank you,
Or
everyone.
maybe we could even do like on a day that there's a service school, we just have an extra day where it's for the Women's Laundry Network.
That would be really interesting too. So everyone that's on, watch your CLA emails, because that's where we, or social media, both places we share kind of what our upcoming schedule. I believe for the Women's Laundry Network, again, we do kind of an annual schedule, and I would say it probably some point in November we'll have that shared out. So, and if you have your own ideas about what we should do, I mean, certainly reach out to us. We're always interested. I got a lot in the chat. I just want to make sure we're not missing. A lot of good thank you. So it seemed everyone enjoyed it. So
Yay.
good evaluation. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Audio